can't believe it's taken me 7 videos before I got to vets. Unbelievable. In particular, Vet Times, the world's leading resource for vets. Online. That's not the strapline. I hope it's not anyway. That would be terrible. So, in reality, I only actually picked vets because my wife. I was looking for inspiration. I said to the wife, "What should I do?" And she said, "Do a vet." I don't think that was general life advice. It was just advice for this blog. So that's what I'm doing. In particular, this is what we're going to talk about today: the best things that I never learned in vet school. Sounds like a bawdy late night Channel 5 one movie kind of thing, but I've had a quick look at this actually, and there's some funny bits in it already, which makes it quite interesting to look at, because regardless of whether I'm the one doing the funny bits or somebody else is, it doesn't really matter. We can all learn from each other anyway, and it's good to spot gags when people are using them. So let's get on with this. So, vet school teaches you a lot of important things in preparation for the job. So looking at that sentence, I'm thinking, right, let's really get specific with this. So what are the important things? I don't know anything about being a vet, but if I did, I said, what are the most important things? Like, don't forget your gloves. Something that is inherently funny, unless you want your arm to smell like bull poo for 6 weeks. So when you're saying something like teaches you a lot of important things in preparation for the job, be really specific. Be really specific. You can put something serious, and this is a good example of you could put 2 things serious and 1 thing funny. So you could say, don't forget your injections, don't forget your wellies, don't forget your gloves unless you want your arm smelling of bull poo for the rest of the week. Get really specific with stuff. So a lot of important things, what things, put them in there if you want to get humour. Really create a visual image for the reader. But being an independent vet in the wide world can be tricky. And again, like tricky, you could say, how is it being tricky? And how can you exaggerate that? Is it difficult pacifying a bull while you remove its semen? I don't know. There's a lot of talk. I'm 2 minutes in and talking about bull orifices. It's not going well. Although I'm not hungry now, which is always a bonus. So again, it can be tricky. Why can it be tricky? You know, what particularly is tricky about being an independent vet? So put some specific things down and then think, well, what's a comical way that it is also tricky as well, that you can kind of balance it out and get some humor? Let's see. So the greatest learning curve is perhaps the one that begins when you're given your first vet card and left to kit it out with a view to being a fully fledged independent vet on the road. So the idea of having a vet car, obviously vets have cars, but the first thing that comes to mind is imagining a superhero Batmobile type thing, a car that's kitted out perfectly for vets, but really exaggerated. So like you'd have a camel holster, you'd have an aquarium, you'd have a mini table to do surgery on in the back. You know, what would it, you know, if you were to let a child design a car for vets for all the jobs they needed to do, what would it look like? So that would be a really good image for that. What would, you know, if you're creating a vet car, what would it look like? And you're left to kit it out with a view to being a fully fledged independent vet on the road. So you could do the thing with the cartoon image of the car. If you don't want to do that, you could talk about the, again, specifics, left to kit it out with a view. So what do you need to kit it out with? And is there a way of exaggerating that? So you could say, yeah, you need to have bags for this or whatever, but let's go the opposite way. So let's talk about kitting it out with really unimportant stuff, like having the best sound system you can muster, nitrous, ejector seats, oil slick, rocket launchers, you know, a James Bond kind of thing. So once you've kitted it out with all that, then you've got the important stuff like, you know, wipes, gloves, stuff like that. So here are a few little life hacks you won't find in your textbooks that can make life a little bit easier. So is there a life hack for vets textbook? I'm guessing not. I was going to search them, but if the internet has taught me one thing, it's probably best not to do random searches while recording yourself on Bing, the world's 17th favorite internet browser. So my idea would be life hacks you won't find in any textbooks. Is there a specific book you could do for that? Could you create a fake book? That would be a good lead magnet for Vet Times. Vet Times could create a life hacks for vets book that they could do. and then put a link into it there. Let's have a look at this bit. So Google listings can help you find farms. If you're lost and have signal, you can often use Google. You can often Google the client's name. Is this news for vets? Would vets read this and go, oh my gosh, can Google help me find stuff? So you can Google the client's name and get a better idea of where the farm is, especially if they have a business listing. Okay, fine. So it talks about the fact that the postcode gets you nearly there, but not quite there. So that's something, again, that you could really hone in on. Something you could compare it to. So it's like horseshoes and hand grenades, that old saying of close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. You can't treat a cow unless you know where that cow is. So how could you exaggerate that in a way that states how important it is to find the exact destination? So maybe you could do a play in the world with, instead of Latham Farms, you went to Latham Farms, and you somehow managed to inject his wife with bull semen. I've done bull semen again! Stop it. So yeah, how could you play on the fact that close is not good enough? You need to know the exact place where cow 231 is, and then how Google Earth could help you out of a tricky spot. Obviously, map reading is a very helpful skill, but our work area example is so big, I would need to rifle through 8 ordnance survey maps, so I unashamedly go digital. I love the idea. I'm unashamed in my quest to go digital. I like that. So if you're going to do rifle through 8 ordnance survey maps, really highlight that for a reader. Show them the picture of you struggling. So this picture of a guy in a car bonnet, he looks like he's going through some kind of personal angst, as I would be if I was reading a map. But you could take a picture of yourself holding 8 maps on a farm, high wind, high rain, really struggling, and listing the benefits of Google. That would be better. So duct tape, lighter, head torch, wire cutters, and rope. No, this is not Peter Sutcliffe's boot contents. It's serial killer country, isn't it, that? So this is a good example. Bear with me. This is less creepy than it seems, though not much. So duct tape, lighter, head torch, wire cutters, and rope. Yes, it does sound like a serial killer's Amazon wish list. And they've played on the comedy there with that. It's less creepy than it seems. I like that. These are vital pieces of kit you won't find in the dispensary, unless your dispenser is a serial killer. Duct tape is really useful for cleaning taping wool or fiber out of the way during sheep or camelid abdominal surgery. I think I only know 3 of the words in that sentence. Although I like what they've done here. Or Angora goats, I don't discriminate. And again, you could go further with that, exaggerate. So instead of a hairy animal, you could say, or your hairy Uncle Frank. I'm trying to think. So you could say, for clearly taping wool or fiber away during sheep or cameloid abdominal surgery, or for taking the hair off your Uncle Frank's back. I don't know. It would be similar like that. So you're taking the Angora goats thing and just playing it up to a bigger extent. What is an exaggerated version of that? You could try it with a different animal, for example. You could say, if it works with sheep and or this animal here, you could try it with a bull, but you'd need a lot more tape. We're going to need some more tape, something like that. I don't discriminate. Always a good line to put into a blog post. The lighter is for when you need to use a burner to get rid of evidence. Probably not get rid of evidence. Need to use a burner because the practice one will go walkies. I'd be tempted to say because my 16-year-old normally seals my practice one. And small pliers and wire cutters are a godsend for putting wires under casts for ease of removal without blunting your scissors or foot trimmers. Come on, we've all been there. I like that. It basically just calls out what's going on. Blunting your scissors or foot trimmers. And I like the idea of the image of using something similar but not equipped for the task. So the first thing I would think of is, how could you take this even further? So scissors and foot trimmers are fine, but for the real good comedy aspect, what would you do? Like, I'm thinking like human nail trimmers or child's art scissors, something like that. And again, a really good image would be, it'd be good to see an image of you trying to cut wire with nail clippers. and with the caption something like, it's been 8 hours. The cast needs to come off. Ropes just handy for everything from tying gates up, restraining animals, and towing cars out of places they shouldn't be. Another great example of if you had, let's do the internet search, car submerged. Let's do that for a second. So rope is just handy for everything from tying gates up, restraining animals, tying gates to animals, and towing cars out of places they shouldn't be. So and again, that would be a great image for that. You could, if you had that image, probably not with the person inside, if you had that image, you could put an image like that on the blog and say, with the caption of, I think we're going to need a bigger rope. Just play on the fact that, let's really exaggerate towing cars out of a place. So rather than just a car being in a ditch, it would actually be, really submerged underwater, and just really exaggerate it. So let's do one last one. I like what they've done here. Don't buy all this in one go unless you want some serious side-eye. Really good example of humour, that. There's many different versions of that. Don't buy all this in one go unless you like to appear on some kind of offenders list. Or do buy all this on one go and then take a picture of the cashier's face as she looks really worried at you, and then have a gif of somebody looking really worried. Let's do this last one now. So always carry snacks and water. With the best will in the world, you can't rely on a lunch break on your own terms in ambulatory practice, which is why you need to stash snacks in car for emergencies. So that's good. And again, you could give a specific example of, when you've got... when you're cutting open the stomach of a sheep and trying to fish out something, for example, the last thing you want to do is munch on a ham sandwich. It's insensitive, really. Well, they could do that with a pig as well. That would be ironic. So the petrol station diet isn't just unhealthy, it's expensive. God, as a magician, I know that. £6 for a tuna sandwich at 1 a.m. that goes out of date in 20 minutes. Have these people even seen the prices of sandwiches in the rest of the world? It's as bad as an airport. So stave off a desperate splurge in an inflated M&S store by stuffing things with a long shelf life, such as flapjacks, nuts, dried fruit, granola, rice cakes, in the door pockets, center console, or that handy drawer under the driver's seat you never knew was there. Perfect example of this. So we've got stuffing things with a long shelf life. So they've given quite a few there. I would do 3 and make the third one something really obvious, like that pot noodle you've had in the back of your shelf since 1984 that still has good luck in the Falklands on it in the back of the car, something like that. And so think of something really obvious that has a really long shelf life. That, packet ham, pot noodle from 1984, I think that would be a good example. And then they've done the same thing. The door pocket, center console, or that handy drawer under the driver's seat you never knew was there. Again, really play on the fact that you can, get creative where you can stash food in your car. So you might want to put it in the glove box or above the heaters if it's something warm. You can cook bacon on your dashboard during the long summer months, eggs on the bonnet, anything like that. Think of creative ways you could stash food in your car, and maybe have a picture of somebody carrying a load of food, or maybe the back seat having a load of stuff on it. So that should be enough for now. Like I said, there's already a lot of humour in this blog, which is really helpful, really helpful. Hopefully I kept it under 10 minutes. I didn't, did I? Balls, never mind. I'll try next time. So that's how to do it with the Vet Times. Already got quite a lot of funny stuff on it. My dog's barking, so that either means that somebody's farted in the next postcode or that the postman is due tomorrow. So I'll leave it there for now, but if you've got any suggestions on future videos you'd like me to do, let me know. I'm happy to do it. And I'll speak to you soon.